Yo, what happened to that turkey that was in here?
You smoked out and ate that shit, man. All at once. The other day.
What?
So we're finally back to South Jamaica Queens in the 90s. Raising Kanan will pick up from where they left off at the end of Season 2, and there is a lot to unpack, from the relationships between the Thomas family to secrets being revealed, Ronnie coming back home, Kanan moving further away from his mother and starting his own hustle, and so much more. Sooner or later there's also going to be a shift in the storyline when we're introduced to a certain character that was said to be Kanan's mentor in the streets, which I personally think will come towards the end of Season 3. Now there have been quite a few teasers and clips that have been released over the past week or so, as there always is in the build up to a new Power season, so I'm going to be running through some of those teaser clues, some interview quotes and just a general quick preview of the storylines we need to be on the lookout for in Raising Kanan Season 3 Episode 1. Now the title for Episode 1 is Home Sweet Home, and the synopsis reads, Rock makes a life-changing decision in the aftermath of the Mafia's ambush, but it's too little too late for Kanan, as he looks to pave his own path free from his mother's lies. Now Episode 1 will kick off exactly where they left off from Season 2. Rock will be in hospital, Marvin was wounded and his fate still remains a mystery, which I think they've played on in the early teasers and trailers that we've seen. But I don't think anybody has to worry just yet. I do think Marvin will be just fine. He's a soldier, and I do feel there's a lot more story for him and Duke, which I'm going to get to a bit later on. But Rock will have to deal with the aftermath of the Italian Mafia's attack. She's down, she's lost soldiers, a street operation was hit, and as always when there's death on the street, especially of this magnitude, it always brings unwanted attention from law enforcement. So I do feel Rock will have a few tough questions to answer, and everybody including Howard will have to get their story straight.
So what? You two getting back together?
Now speaking of getting their story straight, there is a lot of conversations that need to be had from the fallout of Kanan finding out Howard was his father. Let's not forget, Howard and Kanan were on the way to Rock's house to talk this over. That was before Rock came out with Unique wounded from a gunshot wound. Now regardless of how this conversation goes down, one thing we can be sure of, it's not going to stop Kanan from getting into the streets and starting his own hustle. In Seasons 1 and 2 we saw Kanan getting into the mix with Marvin's help. He used Famous's mixtape to sell some red caps, as well as hustling again towards the end of Season 2. Now in the trailer there were a lot of clues around how Kanan's going to get busy in the streets with Famous again. It seems like they've got their very own sophisticated method set up with their own crew, which I don't think will be in Episode 1. The writers really seem to be taking their time and they're being very patient when it comes to Kanan and Duke's development, and they're not going to rush it, but I do think they're going to lay the foundation because it is time to see Kanan on his own. We've seen glimpses before, but now the game has changed because of his relationship with Rock. He's not accepting Rock's apologies or listening to her lies anymore, and so the lines are being drawn. He's on his own, he's ready to make his mark and he's ready to make a name for himself in the streets. So let's see what he gets up to in Episode 1 and just how they lay the foundation. We know he'll eventually run into Ishmael Snaps Henry, which I personally don't think will be in Episode 1 either, so let's see how he goes about building his own mini empire. Now we all know Kanan was in this shit before he was even in this shit, but is Famous ready for the smoke that comes with being in the streets? Is he ready to become a hustler just like Kanan? I'm not so sure yet. I know he killed Freddy towards the end of Season 2, and that should have marked a change in his character, but Fame is different to Kanan, and I do think it's going to take a bit more for him to be fully in it. There's also the fact that he's always high, and I'm not saying he's going to turn into a complete junkie, but it also can't be ruled out either, never say never in Power. So let's see how Fame handles the street life, let's see. So that's Kanan and Famous being in the streets, but what about Rock? Circling back to her being in the hospital and wounded from the events at the end of Season 2, she's going to go into Season 3 with a different perspective, but how long will it last is the question we should be all asking. She wants out the game, but we all know she's not fooling anyone, she needs the game. So it's just a matter of when she's back in, not if. Now what she does in the meantime, who knows? She's going to have a lot of time on her hands if she's not busy in the streets, but as we all know, there's always going to be something that will always pull her back in, and Stefano will have a job for her at some point. So let's see how long she can go and whether or not she can repair her relationship with Kanan.
As more wrongfully imprisoned men are released this week. As you may remember, Detective Sacristano was found guilty of manufacturing evidence against at least 10 men.
Now this was a teaser that was released which was around Ronnie's release. An NYPD detective that goes by the name Ralph Sacristano has manufactured evidence against at least 10 men, which resulted in over 10 convictions, and Ronnie Mathis is one of them. Now whether there are any more or whether we see other players being released, what I'd say to that is, let's keep our eyes and ears open, because I certainly would not be surprised. Power don't drop these hints and clues for no reason. Sometimes they throw in curveballs to make us look in one direction and then send us down another, but let's keep this one in mind. I broke this down when this exclusive clip came out, and I ran through the theory of how 1/10 conviction could potentially even be Breeze, who knows. So this is definitely one to keep in mind as we run through season 3.
Ronnie's here?
Ronnie, unique big brother. You know the around the way everybody avoid and steer clear of because he's so wild and f***ed up.
Well. Look who's home.
Ronnie, that nigga avoid.
Now on Ronnie's homecoming, we all know it's not exactly home sweet home. Ronnie looks emotionless, he's observant, very attentive to detail, and I think Ronnie knows that his brother being back will complicate things. I'm sure Unique is going to be a little conflicted. He's happy to see his big brother, no doubt, but I think he knows he comes with trouble, and there's going to be a lot of conflict as there always is. I'm sure they'll have different ideas of how to run the street operation. Ronnie's been inside for 3 years and things have changed on the street. Loyalties and alliances have also shifted, and it is going to get extremely complex, especially when it comes to this new romantic relationship between Unique and Rock. I don't think the teasers and trailers have made any secret about what's going to happen between them, but don't forget these are two characters who were enemies for 2 full seasons, until Unique came to Rock's rescue. So I do have a question for you guys. Do you think their romance will last? In my opinion, I think it's going to be very short-lived, and I think it's going to be because of Ronnie. Ronnie will consider Rock an enemy, because let's not forget when Ronnie was out, Hypos was in charge, and they came together to make deals over territory, but Rock completely flipped the script when she took over. So Unique may be in a romantic relationship with Rock at the beginning, but how does Ronnie's release complicate this, and where will Unique's loyalties lie? Will it be with Rock, or will it be with his big brother? Now just on a quick side note on law enforcement's presence in season 3, Ras Sacristano fucked up big time, and when there's a big fuck up within law enforcement, expect some heavy scrutiny. So law enforcement's presence goes 2 ways. Eyes will be on them as much as they have eyes on the streets, and so this brings me over to Detective Beck. Detective Beck was high up on my list when I made my death predictions video for season 2 because of what she knows and how she was meddling in things she shouldn't be, but somehow she managed to survive. But I do feel based on what we know and what we've seen prior to season 3, I do think her time is up. She knows about Kanan being Howard and Rock's son, she knows Rock was Howard's CI, and now she's got IAD investigating her, so the walls really are closing in, and in my opinion, Beck is definitely on the chopping block at some point in season 3. Now with Duke and Marvin, Duke has really had a tough time over the last 2 seasons, and even though it is teased that she will have some happy moments in season 3, she'll first find herself having to come to terms with yet another loss. She lost Nicole in season 1, and now she's lost Kenya, but we haven't seen her reaction yet, so we're gonna find out how she reacts to Kenya's death, and the question is, will she be hurt, or will she kinda just shrug her shoulders after what Kenya put her through? It is a tough one. She went searching for a mother because she lacked this connection with Marvin, but because of how Kenya was treating Duke, we actually saw Marvin and Duke's bond grow stronger, so let's see how she reacts to Kenya's death, and what's next for her singing career, and whether there are any more clues about her becoming a cop. Now last but not least, where are we with Lou? After Rock told him that he's not going anywhere and she owns him, I think he's going to be pretty pissed that Rock's now done a 180 and saying she now wants out the game, when that's what Lou's wanted ever since he killed D-Wiz. He's going to lose bulletproof records, he's already lost Caesar, and his relationship with the Thomases isn't exactly in the best of places. But when it comes to Lou, a saving grace is music. It seems like he'll be making amends with Duke, but how long will it last, because I don't see Lou having a happy ending at all. If I were a betting man, I'd probably lean towards Lou being the first of the Thomases to being taken out. Maybe if D-Wiz's brother is introduced, because he'll probably want revenge for D-Wiz. So that's an early death prediction, although having said that, I do feel the Thomases will make it out of season 3, and we'll see a major death in season 4, but whenever we do, whether it's season 3 or 4, I am leaning towards Lou first. Now with all of that being said, I think as always with the opening episode of any Power show or season, we can expect them to start with a bang, and lay the foundation for the rest of what's to come in season 3. And it really will be a wild ride this winter, but drop all your thoughts and predictions down below for all things episode 1, and as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.